So the first thing we're going to work on is your power position blueprint. So in every single digital marketing niche that I know about, there are thousands and thousands of competitors. So what makes you unique? Why do you stand out? What's the specific reason why people would buy from you? So even though there are probably hundreds of thousands of marketers in the market, over 90% of them are positioned terribly. I see them all over LinkedIn. That number is probably higher than 90%. It's an epidemic. No positioning in the marketing space is generally really bad. And there's only a small percentage of marketers who've actually put in the work to create positioning that aligns truly with the value that you know that you can bring to the right type of clients, and demonstrates that value in public on social media in a way that is aligned with the type of people who they want to help and the type of work that they want to do. It might seem obvious, or you may feel like you have that right now, but I'm going to walk you through a couple of different steps that might put some light bulbs on and explain why maybe you just haven't been able to attract any demand inbound. So in marketing, and in most markets actually, there's an elite few who dominate. So the thing is that it's a small percentage of consultants, agencies and freelancers who win the vast majority of contracts, and on high prices at the premium end of the market. I'm not talking about just getting work so that you can, because you're the cheapest. I'm talking about charging a lot and still winning the majority of the work that they go for. I'm talking about the small percentage of competitors in your market who are able to charge 5 times what you charge, even though you know you can deliver a better service than them. In this module, I'm going to break down the nuance behind how to create a value proposition statement that positions you alongside some of the biggest companies in your market, no matter how much social proof they have or how much case studies or how much time they've been in the market. You're going to see how to position yourself. And it's simple, but it's difficult at the same time. So let's get into it. So crafting your value proposition statement. So you've probably seen this hundreds of thousands of times. That's too many. I do X for Y so they can Z. That's the sentence we're going to work on. Or in other words, I do my service, so you could say I help my ideal customer get benefit using my service. But we're going to just do it this way. So I do my service for ideal customer so they can get benefit or result. So before we go into it in more detail, I want you to pause this video and just write down what you have as version 1. So on a piece of paper or in your notes, whatever it is, version 1 value prop statement, I do X for Y so they can Z. Pause now, write that down, and then we'll continue. You're back. The 4 critical elements of a value proposition are the following. So remember, the most important thing, this is the most important thing in your business. If you don't get this right, you will never be able to attract clients, and you'll be just stuck getting referrals forever. You need to get an offer and positioning that's clear to the market and brings in the right type of people. When you get this right, everything else flows down from here. Your content strategy is easy. The outreach strategy makes sense. The sales process, the sales enablement, it all comes into line because you've started on the right foundation. Everything should be boiled down perfectly to fit within this sentence so that when your ideal customer sees it, it resonates with them and they think, oh yeah, that's for me, I need that and I want that benefit and they can help me. That should all happen in a second once they read it, or 2 seconds. So here's a couple of things that I'm going to bring up that I've, again, from working with a lot of businesses, this may or may not have been apparent to you, but let's dig into them. So the first one is you should be using insider language, not your language. This is key, and a lot of people don't realize this. So remember the famous marketing question, what's in it for me? So it's not good enough to just answer that question directly, as in you'll get this in your words. You have to answer it in the specific words that your ideal customers think and say when they are answering that question for themselves. Examples. So in this case, a bad example of a value prop statement is, I help businesses increase their digital visibility. Only marketers care about that. They don't know the benefit of what digital visibility will do for them. They can't grasp that because they haven't experienced it. So a better one would be, I help independent realtors get more first-time buyer viewings through targeted Facebook ad campaigns. So independent realtors, okay, great, that's me. More first-time buyer viewings, that's what I need to grow my business, not digital visibility. Or another one is, I help improve recruitment processes. Or another one would be, I help tech recruiters to double their placement rate for senior developers while cutting screening time by 30%. So these are words they're going to use: screening time, placement rates. These are the things that they're going to say to their mates and their colleagues at work, and they're going to use in their insider language. So you need to be able to show that you understand them and know at least a bit about them by using these words, and they will resonate a lot more. And here's a little tip to find them if you don't know what they are. So if you've done sales calls before and you've had note takers on them, go get 5 of them with perfect prospects who are fit for what you're doing. Put them into ChatGPT or Claude or whatever it is and say, here's some sales call transcripts, rewrite my value proposition statement to make it more relevant to the specific problems and desired outcomes that my ideal customers have and want. Give me 10 options. And this will unlock some gold for you. So the prompt will give you their words spitted back, not just the words that you've put in, because we want to speak in the words that will have resonated with the people who we're selling to. And again, when you do this right, you'll start to hear those same sentences over and over again. I know one that happened to me was I was speaking to a lot of fractional consultants, and they I think 7 different people who don't know each other directly said to me, I struggle to get clients from outside my network. They were the exact words that I used, so I started using that in my marketing messaging, and no surprises, it was effective. Second thing, specific outcomes attract specific people, and it repels specific people as well. So here, for example, my value proposition is I help marketers add 30 to 50K in recurring revenue using LinkedIn within 12 months. Okay, that's fine, sounds great. That'll attract a very specific person. It's not going to attract Fortune 500 companies because they have no interest in making 30K. They need 3 million or 30 million. It's too small for them. But it also won't attract beginners because they might think, oh, I can't imagine myself making 30K a month. I just need to make 5K a month to get started. So I'm calling out a specific type of person here without naming them, saying that this is the outcome I help you achieve. And people are self-selecting in and out of that in the background without me knowing. So by me choosing this, I'm going to attract a certain type of person. They're going to have a certain set of problems. They're going to have a certain set of desired outcomes. They're going to have a certain set of constraints in terms of how much they can pay me as well, being one, which is key. So this is going to, all these things happen inside this little message here without you even thinking. So this is what I mean by the nuance in the specific words that you choose is really, really important. You have to think about every single sentence that you put into your messaging, and you have to refine it over time. So here, example, too broad, I help businesses grow their email list. Or specific, I help course creators add 1,000 qualified subscribers monthly to fuel 5 to 10K product launches. So that's very clear. Again, they know exactly what they're getting. If that's going to be, again, for course creators on the lower end, it's not going to be for ones on the higher end, because they won't. 5 to 10K is going to be nothing to them. So too broad is I help improve social media engagement. Specific is I help local restaurants fill their Tuesday night tables using Instagram story strategies that cost less than $100 a week. So that's very compelling for local restaurants who aren't getting people in on Tuesdays, which is a lot of them. I'm being selective here purposefully. So the wording you choose in your value proposition, whether you realize it or not, will allow people to self-select in or out of what you're doing. So you need to be very cognizant of the specifics that you use, and be careful with percentages, because sometimes adding 50% to a certain outcome or KPI might not be enough for one person or might be too much for another. Again, I was speaking to someone on the call recently. They said, I'll help you get 30% more of this. And I said, okay, well, you want to consider that 30% to some companies is going to be like, that's unrealistic. But then 30% to another is going to be like, that's not enough based on where they are, if they need to grow faster. Smaller companies that need to grow faster, for example. So consider these things when you're choosing these numbers. Target the benefits that you're outlining to specific roles and people, not multiple roles with different desired outcomes. So your value proposition should be written relative to the ideal outcomes of one specific person in your target market or organization, not the COO and the CEO and the CMO, because they have different needs. Yeah, they have different needs. If you're selling more revenue, the marketing director isn't going to be interested or directly worried about that, although it's a downstream thing. They want to see higher return on marketing spend. The CEO is going to be interested in more revenue. That's not to say the CMO won't be interested in revenue, but it won't immediately resonate with them. So your value proposition should immediately resonate with the direct person that you're selling to, so that they will be the most likely to respond to it. Examples for CMOs, so I help CMOs prove marketing's impact on revenue by implementing attribution tracking that maps customer touch points to close deals. For sales directors, I might say I help sales directors shorten the sales cycle by 40% using LinkedIn content that pre-educates prospects before the sales call. So again, these are things that I know that they're specifically interested in, and I'm referencing them specifically in the value proposition. And again, if it was CEOs for these people, it might be X amount more revenue. So you need to consider that when you're outlining that benefit. Who are you selling to specifically, and what KPIs are keeping them in a job, and how can you improve them? So use terminology that resonates. So you want to use the terminology that your target market that uses extremely important. So a case study. So I was just on a group coaching call with a client the other day. She's in a very wide niche, and she's helping B2B businesses install book-a-call funnels. Her target ICP is a sales director who does a lot of in-person marketing and cold calls, but doesn't have a good online presence to back themselves up. We needed to come up with a term that specifically spoke to those people that would resonate with that sales director, because if we didn't use a term that resonated with them, they would not listen to what we were saying. So we were trying to figure out, was it going to be straight up sales directors, but that's not nuanced enough. Traditional sellers, cold callers, teams who cold call, selling teams. These are all the different options, and the way to figure this out is, if you don't know at the start, it's through testing and speaking to people who are in it. So again, an example: improve your online presence, or one that resonates with sales directors: create a digital trust platform that converts cold calls into warm conversations. Or another one: help authors sell books. Another one for self-published authors is turn your manuscript into a minimum viable author platform that generates consistent 4-figure monthly royalties. So that's way more specific. Specificity is the key. This point is an extrapolation on the last one, and we're just wanting to the whole goal is to get super, super specific about what you're doing. And then you align everything around your value proposition. So the next part of that is, once you have the value proposition, we want to get that out online, and the way that you're going to do that first is by optimizing your LinkedIn profile in line with that. So your banner should be an extrapolation of your value proposition. You can see mine here. Your whole profile should work like a landing page. Above the fold, hero section, it should tell your prospects exactly what you do, who you are, and what's in it for them, and why you should be listened to. What they should do next. So visit my website in this case. This is my profile, as you can tell. About me section, it should not be about you, it should be about the reader. Call them out, speak to their problem, offer them a solution, show them that you can be trusted with social proof, and call them to action. So you can see mine here, or you can go onto my website and read mine, and calling them out, outlining the problem, offering the solution, putting in the social proof, and then calling them to action. The experience section, again, reinforcing that same message: what you do, who's it for, what to do next. Put more links so that they can deep dive into you. And then reoccurring content. So every piece of content should speak directly to that specific value proposition statement, and just say it a different way. I've heard people before say, longevity on social media is about finding the best way to say the same thing 1,000 different times without sounding repetitive. So spinning that idea in very different ways is the key to making it go forward. Everything should be aligned. It should all be on a straight line. Your posts, the graphics that you make, the persona you're trying to put out there. And this is the foundation for growth. So having this perfectly aligned message that resonates with your ideal customers, it's the absolute perfect foundation for you to go and add 30 to 50K in revenue. When you create content, it'll resonate. When you do outreach messages, you'll get responses. When you send follow-ups, you'll get people hopping on calls, because you're so clear with what you're doing, and that clarity breeds trust in the people who you're reaching out to. So we've had clients, the goal is to help you add 30 to 50K over a period of 12 months, but we've had clients do higher than that in 12 weeks. So when you really nail this, you'd be surprised what's possible. So that's the TLDR checklist here. But what's your value proposition? Now that you wrote it at the start, But now write a V2, consider all the things that I said, go do some research, use Perplexity, ChatGPT, but I don't want you to just take it from ChatGPT. Go and think about it, or speak to people even better. What's the specific single line value proposition that aligns perfectly with the business that you want to create? Write that down, and in the next step, we're going to show you how to create content that aligns with that. So let's get into it.